Welcome to the table. You are now listening to the Real Table podcast with Michael Carter.
Couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Table podcast with your host, Michael Carter. And it has been forever since I've done this show, but I'm so glad to be back. Movies are just such a passion of mine. Life, as always, gets so busy, and taking time off is always good. It's always needed. And I always pondered the question. I kept asking the question the past few weeks. When was I going to come back and do this podcast again? And I knew it had to happen really soon. Just because I'm like, man, I miss this. I miss doing it. I miss even having people on. I miss talking about movies on a podcast. So I was like, man, I got to get back into it. The Real Table podcast is back, and I'm so excited. 2025 has been a year full of so many movies. We last left off in August. I think Fantastic Four, I think, was the last episode. That was the last time we were doing this podcast. And since then, there's been a collection of films that have come out, even like throughout this whole year. There's been a lot that has transpired. But man, I'm so glad to be back, because right now we're about to get into the thick of it when it comes to movies. This week alone, Wicked for Good. We've been waiting for this. Some of you have been waiting for this for so long. The finale to Wicked being on the big screen is finally here. I've seen it. I'm going to go through a little bit of my thoughts on the movie and what I think. And I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do that a little bit shortly. But next week is Zootopia. Running Man came out last weekend with Glenn Powell. And then we got Avatar. There's Five Nights at Freddy's too. Like, there's so much that is coming down the pipeline in the next few weeks. And now is the best time to get back into this podcast and just to get back at it. So let's do it. Let's do this podcast. The Real Table podcast will be back. I'm so excited to be back. 2025 has been an interesting year. Right, I won't do a full recap, but I just want to kind of speak a little bit on 2025 as a year of film, and it's been so interesting to see what is successful, what's not successful. I think one thing is sure is that IPs are still king, right? If you are intellectual property, if you are popular intellectual property, like dog, you're sure to win at the box office, right? Minecraft showed us that earlier this year. You're sure to win at the box office. And then we're going to continue to see that, obviously, I think, throughout the coming years. Original films aren't winning as strong, but there are a few highlights. Like Sinners is one of those highlights. We talked about Sinners. If you need to go listen back to that Sinners episode, please do. If you haven't even seen Sinners, go watch Sinners. Sinners is one of the best movies of the year. K-pop Demon Hunters on Netflix. I keep telling people about this movie, and people they're giving me a little bit of crap because the name is bad. I call it what it is. K-pop Demon Hunters, Netflix animated film. The name is horrible, but the movie is actually good. And it's probably my favorite to win the Oscar and to even win even more animated movie awards in like the coming months, because it's just so good. But beyond that, again, you have your Minecrafts. You have Lilo and Stitch, which Lilo and Stitch made over $4 billion, I think, in just merchandise alone. Not even just the movie, what the movie did. The merchandise, $4 billion alone, which is insane. Which I watched that movie probably a week ago now, and I thought it was just okay. But it's insane how you just have to be a well-known property, a well-known face, a well-known title, characters, whatever, to really truly be successful. Now, Ryan Coogler and Sinners proved that you don't have to be, right? And in the same sense, looking at K-pop Demon Hunters, which is one of those anomalies where it's like, man, not many original animated films are hidden nowadays, right? We look at Disney. Disney was the king of that. Disney was the king of that, especially Pixar. And Pixar has lost its footing. Elio came out and it completely flopped, which I still haven't seen it, and I want to get to Elio. I'm planning to hopefully get to it by the end of the year. But Elio, man, I think that was another opportunity for Pixar, and Pixar kind of missed. And I think Pixar isn't what it used to be unless you are a Toy Story 5, which is due next year, or you're an Incredibles, right? Incredibles 3 is coming down the pipeline. Coco 2 is coming down the pipeline, right? Pixar needs some wins, and so they're going where they feel they can win at it. That's the IP, right? And that's also connected with the Disney parks and stuff, Toy Story Land, all that stuff is connected. All of that, there's a reason for all this stuff, right? So if you're not an intellectual property, if you're not an IP, you're not a name, you're not something that's recognizable, um, you're not gonna win. I think Superman was a good example of an IP that didn't have big names, right? Nicholas Holt was probably the biggest. It's probably one of the biggest names to come out of that movie. Um, and he was in the lead. Rachel Brosnahan was also a lead, but again, A-list. We're talking A-list. We're talking about people that bring. We're talking about actors and actresses that bring people into seats. Nobody in Superman really had that draw, but because it was the character Superman, and also James Gunn being the director that he is, Guardians of the Galaxy, you name it. That's why Superman won this year. That's why it was huge, right? So IPs are still king, and I think that's just the nature of the landscape now, right? You see TV's leaning into that. Scrubs reboot. It's coming next year, early February. I'm a big Scrubs guy. Kind of excited, but I'm also worried that it's not going to be that good. But a Scrubs reboot next year in February. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, kind of a reboot, right? Sarah Michelle Gellar is going to be in it, but there's going to be a new Vampire Slayer, which is going to be interesting to see how that works. It's like a lot of Hollywood is just playing into somewhat of that nostalgia game, right? So it's really interesting to see how that flows. And then you also have, again, kind of like the biopic centric space where sometimes biopics, again, I think the audiences are just a little bit trained by biopics. I can't tell you the last biopic that was really, Bohemian Rhapsody might be the last biopic that was really, really a hit. But again, the Michael Jackson movie, which, by the way, I'm excited. I don't say I'm super excited. I think it has a lot of potential. It's going to be a hit. I think we might be looking at $1 billion hit type thing. We'll see. That's next year. But you've got to be a well-known title to succeed. And if you are an original, you've got to have a Michael B. Jordan, or you've got to have like a Ryan Coogler-esque director helming the film to win. And I want to see more original films, but I think studios are just too afraid. And that IP space, if you can nail it, if you can nail that property, right, you've hit the lottery. You've hit the lottery, right? Which is weirdly why with Barbie, you see, I started hearing some news about studios are looking at other gaming titles to turn into movies, which is weird because I feel like Barbie was an interesting. Barbie was an anomaly because again, you have a director like Greta Gerwig who's really good at what she does. To take somebody like Margot Robbie with a Ryan Gosling and also a lot of well-known people and put it in that cast to make a movie such as Barbie, it's so interesting to see how that one won. But again, I think a lot of studios are swinging in the wrong directions, and I beg all the studios, lean back into those original projects. Go find those writers and those producers. I follow a lot of people that are in the business right now and are just like, man, Hollywood is leaning towards that IP side, which I get, but I'm like, man, where's that next Pixar? Right? Where's that next big Pixar animated film that's gonna do wonders, right? What's that next one gonna be for Disney? Disney needs a win that's outside of the Frozens, right? That's outside of the stuff that we already know. They need to win. Wish failed horribly, right? It failed so bad. Disney needs to win in another space, and I don't know when that's going to happen. I know they have an original film that's also not a musical that's coming out next year, but I don't know. I think Disney doesn't have its touch right now. It can make a sequel, right? I think it's a simpler job to take some of the characters that you get a good foundation of a story and to run with it, right? I think that's why for me, when I look at Toy Story 4, we didn't need it, but Toy Story 4 was a solid movie to me because I was like, the story was good. You got the characters, the story was good. It was a solid story, nothing special. We didn't need it. It was a solid story. Incredibles, solid story, right? There's a discourse out there in the world where people think Incredibles 2 was the worst thing to known to mankind. And I go, no, Incredibles 2 was actually really, really good. I don't think it's better than 1, right? I think at one point I wanted to lean that it was better than 1, but it's not better than 1. You know, the first Incredibles is iconic for a reason, but it's easier to do it when you have the right team, you have the right people. It's easier to take some of those characters along and go, here's another film, and it becomes successful. So it'll be interesting to see. Like, again, I think the remainder of the year is going to be IP driven. For, again, Five Nights at Freddy's, right? Avatar, Fire and Ash, which super pumped about the next Avatar. Super pumped. Zootopia next week, right? Running Man was from a novel, right? It feels different. It doesn't feel like it's an IP. It doesn't feel like it's a well-known thing, but it's a remake of a Stephen King book, right? And it's so interesting. That one didn't really do super well, right? Also thinking about that, biopics. New biopic, Chrissy, Sydney Sweeney flopped really hard. That actually might be on par with one of the worst biopics to flop. I think it might be on par to be one of the worst biopics to flop. And that's a whole layer of discussion that I would love to go on at another time. But yeah, 2025 has been so interesting. But I think people, again, we're looking at audiences, and I'm hearing what people are saying, and some people are going to the movie theaters, and some people aren't. People are still on the fences. People also go, there's nothing out. It's the same things. And that you got to search some of the stuff, you have to search for it. So it's a still weird space to be in. And I don't think we're ever going to get out of this space where we're not going to see nostalgia. I think that we're going to ride that nostalgia wave literally to the end of time, right? Snow White was a flop for Disney, but Disney bounced right back with Lilo and Stitch. Big. And that set in motion another a Tangled live action film that's coming down the pipeline. The Moana live action film, which we don't need. And that, again, that's a topic for another day. I think it's so dumb that Disney is doing that. And it makes no sense when the animated movie is still recent. It'll be 10 years old next year, but it's still recent. It's still probably the most streamed, I think it was the most streamed Disney Plus title in 2024. So yeah, we want to make a live action film instead of going, let's use all our resources to make a Moana 3. That should be way better than Moana 2. Baffling. But 2025 has been really, really, really interesting. And it'll continue to get interesting to see how do we end? Will Lilo and Stitch be top? I think Avatar and Fire Ash can do it. Wicked for Good, I think, very well could do it. I don't think the hype is as strong as with Wicked for Good. And let's get into that.
Alpha Withrop, I know you're out here. Just come in before the monkeys spot you.
There's no going back. This is between us, the wizard, and I.
The Wicked Witch can't elude us forever. Not with Prince Fiero and his squadron hot on her trail.
No good deed goes unpunished. That's my creed.
The wonderful Wizard of Oz. No one believed in you more than I did.
Alphaba. They're coming for you.
I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason. I know I'm who I am today because I knew you.
Think of what we could do together.
Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun. Like a seed dropped by a skybird in a distant war. Who can say if I've been changed for the better?
Bring me the broom of the Wicked Witch of the West.
For a while there, I thought you changed.
I have changed.
It's time.
For both of us.
To fly!
Because I knew you.
You're the only friend I ever had.
Because I knew you.
And I've had so many friends.
I have been changed for good.
But only one that mattered.
I'm off to see the wizard.
Yeah, Wicked was, I think it blew people away. It was a surprise hit. Let's not kid ourselves. Wicked for Good was a surprise hit, and mostly is because of musicals have a hard time translating to the big screen. I liked In the Heights. People have their gripes with it and didn't care for it, whatever. I liked In the Heights. I thought it worked perfectly fine for my taste, and mostly of that because I like musicals. I thought when In the Heights was done well. West Side Story, Steven Spielberg thought that was done well too. Stuff around that didn't allow the movie to flourish and succeed, but that's one of those movies where I go, the movie should have been given a lot more, but because of the circumstances surrounding that, it didn't get what it deserved, right? You look down the history, the pipeline of live action films, again, live action, or not live action, I should say live action, Broadway adapted films like the Hairsprays. Hairspray is a big one. Sound of Music is one that's been out there for a long time. Like you look at a lot of these titles, and some of them aren't successful, right? Sound of Music is iconic. Even the old original West Side Story, which is a little, not a little bit, it's kind of racist. That one's still a classic. There's a lot of them, like musical and film. Musicals within the film genre has existed for so long. But up until I feel like the past 28 years of my life, there really hasn't been, actually not until this moment, but before Wicked, I think before then you can argue there wasn't a musical film that was adapted from Broadway that could really win, that really won the audience, and that was a phenomenon, that was a hit, right? Wicked was always a phenomenon on Broadway. And the question was, could it translate to the big screen? And this one has been in the works for so long, and we finally get to this moment. And in my honest opinion, I thought Wicked worked. Jon M did a good job of making Wicked work for me. It worked. The very first film worked for me. And it was a phenomenon. It's that one musical film that I think, I won't say it would open up I don't think it's going to open up a path for even more, because I think within that, like if you're a studio, Wicked worked because Wicked was popular already. That's a big reason why it worked. Then you tack on, I won't even put Jon M, and no disrespect to Jon M, I wouldn't even put him as a sole reason why Wicked worked. You got an Ariana Grande. That's going to push the envelope for sure. Cynthia has a name. She's a face. She's a name and a face. If you know her from The Color Purple on Broadway, I mean, she's played in a couple films here and there. But like Ariana, I think was a big envelope pusher attached to Wicked. I think there was a lot to package there, and also Cynthia again. Cynthia, if you know Cynthia, you know her voice. That package together is a win. I think so. I don't think that's going to open up a door for more musicals. But Wicked for Good is a solid film overall, right? It does not work for me like the first one, right? And what's very unfortunate about Wicked for Good is that I don't think I can really blame anyone, right? And maybe I'm just saying that because I need another watch. I've been telling people I need another watch to see, but like, I feel like Wicked for Good did what it was supposed to do, because it took its source material and they looked at it and they said, how can we extend this for 2 hours, right? Which I guess to a certain extent, one could argue, is that the issue? Is also that an issue? Did it need to be, did it need to be that 2 hours? But to make it work, to make it feel full, right? They did all this work to make this script a 2 hour script, a 2 hour film. And again, it just didn't work for me. And I think a lot of that is the story from Act Two is different, right? Most people don't know that, and they're like, "Oh, I'm waiting to see Wicked. I don't know what's supposed to happen." And I'm not gonna go too deep into spoiler mode, but like the essence of Act Two is not what Act One was. It just isn't. It's not anybody's fault. It's just the way it is. There's a time jump. Things are different. Different songs, different motives, right? The character arcs evolve even more. The characters become a little bit more mature. We're not at Shiz University anymore. Like, we have grown because of this one because this one moment that defied everything. So, For Good is just very uniquely different. But I still think Jon M did exactly what he could do to make it work, right? Again, we can argue if this whole thing should have been 2 hours to begin with, because you can look at part one and go, even though part one I thought it fleshed out a lot of cool, interesting things that that worked. If I go back and go, if they didn't flesh those things out and they made just two different films, if they didn't flesh all that stuff out, I don't think if they and they made it to one film, I'm not sure if it would have did the same thing, right? But you could also argue a 3.5 hour. I mean, most people would sit through a 3.5 hour cut, right? Again, that's the weird tension that you have to have, and a lot of that also has to do with money too. Satisfying ending overall, right? That's what I was about with Wicked. Satisfying ending overall. Most of the questions are answered. No Good Deed is it's what you expect. No Good Deed is good. Cynthia shines in No Good Deed. As long as you're mine, dude. Cynthia and Jonathan Bailey shine in that one too. That was probably that was one of my favorites out of all the numbers in all the film. That was probably one of my favorites. And then For Good. For Good is beautiful. I expected to cry. I can be a little emotional guy. I expected to cry. I was expected to cry, or I expected to cry during that one, and I didn't. It didn't hit me like I thought it would, but it was still a beautiful moment. And also Ariana, I think she shines even more in this one. What? Because I felt like she worked well and won, and she did her thing, and she was super funny. But I think in this one, there's an emotional side that they give Glinda, where I go, does she do her thing again in this one? And I think without a doubt, to a certain extent, kind of outshines Cynthia. I think Cynthia is so much better in part one that she is in Wicked for Good, which is interesting. I expected Cynthia to be better in this one, or to not even be better, I should say. I expect Cynthia to shine so much in this one even more than Ariana. But Ariana really carried her weight in this one, and she did a fantastic job. But beyond that, yes, I've kind of discussed a little bit about the bad. Didn't have the same magic as the first, unfortunately. And two, I know I forgot to mention this. I was always worried about this movie not carrying the same weight. Because last year, me and my wife sat in the car. We had a 3-hour drive, and we sat in the car and we listened to the Broadway soundtrack. And then we got to Act Two, and I was like, "Oh, Act Two is like short with songs." And beyond a No Good Deed, and even For Good, I'm like, what other songs can really carry this next movie? And so that was a little bit of the worry that I had, is because I was like, man, I don't know if they can do the same or have the same power that they had with the first act. And so again, after got done watching, I'm like, oh, it was good, but it wasn't like, I don't know. There was something that was missing. There was a power. There was a emotional power, emotional force that I needed for it to even compare. Now, I'm not saying you add more numbers, you add more original songs, because I think you risk not keeping the same intentionality within the original songs that were already in that act lyrically. I think you risk creating wonky original songs, right? And the two original songs also were solid. They were okay. I think "Girl in the Bubble," Ariana's song, was really good. "No Place Like Home" was fine. Yeah, Cynthia's song "No Place Like Home" was fine. It was fine. So I was always worried that Act 2 was gonna lose steam, but I was like, okay, maybe I'm not. I feel like they're gonna build enough. They're gonna build more foundation to make it good. To make it not even just good, just to stand a chance against Act 1. And for me, it just doesn't do it. But yeah, things were clearly at it, especially with the 2 hour plus runtime. I can't remember the musical. I've seen the musical, seen it on Broadway. I cannot remember it clearly, but listening to that Broadway track helps refresh my mind just a little bit of the story of what happens. But they clearly, obviously, you have to add some stuff. What they add and what they didn't have, didn't really look into that too much. But obviously, it's 2 hours. It's a 2 hour movie of Act 2. They added some stuff. So they added some stuff, but I feel like it just didn't, Also, another thought that I had, should the film, I wonder if they should have dug into the Wizard of Oz a little bit more. Here's a weird tension I have with that, is that it is called Wicked, and you do want to focus on what the story is at hand. But my thought was they would play into the Wizard of Oz a little bit more with that. Again, that's where I thought the 2 hours was coming into, that 2 hour plus runtime. I'm like, they're going to play a little bit more into the Wizard of Oz, and they don't do it as much. And that's what I mean when I'm going, Jon M. Chu, he gets it. He's like, I got to do this, and he keeps it moving. But they don't. I don't think that they could have played into the Wizard of Oz, I think, more. And some of those, and I saw somebody else say it. They were like, Wizard of Oz moments were just a little weird, especially when you see Dorothy. It's a little weird, and I go, I actually hear that, and I can feel that. Maybe that's a little bit some of what I was feeling as well, as I'm looking at some of those scenes, and I go, oh, yes, I get it. We're behind it. We're seeing the different story, a different side of things. But I'm like, ooh, maybe a little bit, like maybe a couple lines. Obviously, we don't focus too much on Dorothy, but maybe a couple lines we can do. I don't know. A lot of interesting stuff there where I go, I wonder if you could have played into that. I wonder. So, Wicked for good. I think people should still go see it. Again, I gave it like a 7.5 out of 10. It was nothing amazing. I shouldn't say nothing amazing. I don't want to downplay it. Wicked for Good is a good movie. It's just, I think, low expectations. Don't expect it to be like part one. There's a few people I did talk to that hadn't seen Wicked, and they were like, yeah, it was good, but it wasn't, I think they wanted more and expected it to be more. And at the end of the day, you can't rock the creative or knock the creative team that much, because I go, Jon M. Chu took that source material and he did the best he really could with that. Again, I'm still wondering, do you play into the Wizard of Oz, right? Do you play into it enough to give it that push? I don't know. That's just something there, right? And again, that could cause too many issues too. Just story overall, bringing in another character, maybe making it feel a little bit too weird, and you're losing the effect of what the actual story is at hand. It's interesting. It's interesting stuff to think about. But Wicked for Good, I gotta give it another viewing. I tell again, go see it. Go see it. I tell people to go see it. Go check it out. Let me know what you think, as always, and then again, spread the word about it. People do need to. I want people to go to the cinemas, go to movies. I keep hearing people not going to the movies. They're like, I haven't been to movies in so long, and I go, there are things out there. You gotta look. You gotta read the synopsis. One battle after another. Leonardo DiCaprio. That's another movie that I look at and I go, that's an original movie. And I think pretty much, I think that movie was super successful. It wasn't like a smash hit, but the movie was successful. That's another movie on my list I need to see. That I think, even if the story feels a little weird, that's the one movie where I go, you got Leonardo DiCaprio in it. Man, go check it out. Go check it out for that story. If you don't like Leonardo DiCaprio, then okay, cool. Go find another movie. There's something there. People just have to. You just gotta go read synopsis. You gotta go figure out. Go see it. Go be surprised. Walk into a movie. I think too many of us want to watch the trailers. Want to know what we're going to see. Every month, AMC. I think Rico does it too in Cinemark. They always have a secret movie reveal night. Where at I think it's usually like 7 o'clock showing, one showing, and you go into the movie and you have no idea what you're going to see. And it's supposed to be a surprise. That's the whole point. And so I want to challenge people: go out and go see a movie that you haven't seen or that you haven't heard of. Look at even look at the synopsis and go, I'm going to go risk it, right? And that's the tension. You might come out of that movie and go, that movie was horrible, right? Which is, I think, why you go read the synopsis, maybe watch one trailer, and keep it chill. But go see something. Go see something. Be surprised. I also forgot about F1. F1 was more of an original film that really did successful this year. I just thought about that. Wow, which is crazy. Wicked for Good. Go see it. Zootopia. Running Man. I'm going to try to catch Running Man this weekend. Zootopia 2, hopefully next week as well. Avatar Fire and Ash. Five Nights at Freddy's. We'll see. I don't like Five Nights at Freddy's, the first one. So we'll see if I can catch that or not. And then I'm going to keep playing catch up here until the end of the year. Maybe try to see one battle after another. Frankenstein, Netflix original film. There's still plenty of things that I need to catch up on that I need to go see. And that I'll hopefully see really soon. This has been the Real Table Podcast. Thank you so much for viewing this, listening to this. If you're listening, if you love movies, right? I know you love movies. Share this with somebody. Share this podcast with somebody else. Let them know about this podcast, and let's start a discussion. Let's keep starting discussions about film. And as we hit the end of December, there's a lot to see. Again, I think all the families are going to be out for Wicked. Zootopia 2, which I heard Zootopia 2 is pretty good. Also trying to stay away from too many reactions to not give me, to not sway my decision on how I'm supposed to feel about a movie going in. I just want to know what I know about the movie and just go in. That's my kind of like my new thing that I'm trying out. So share this podcast, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'm going to see you real soon. Thank you so much for tuning into the Real Table Podcast. Go see Wicked for Good. I'll see you later. Peace.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're enjoying the deep dives and the conversation around film, be sure to share and follow the podcast. Once again, thanks for coming to the table, and we'll see you next time.